Week 5, quarterbacks, tight ends, and I think I'll even show the Sickos charts for the defensive players. It's a solo mission today. If you guys watched our wide receiver show, you guys know why. Josh was not feeling himself, so make sure to drop a comment below. Tell me what your favorite loogie that he posted during the wide receiver show was. So today we'll start off with the quarterbacks, and no other than Josh Allen as a quarterback one. The Bills projected for a bunch of points, 29. I think the Patriots defense is pretty good. They got Christian Gonzalez back in the secondary, but how are you stopping the Buffalo Bills offense? And even if you do slow them down, Josh Allen's been too good by himself. So he's clearly the elite quarterback right now with Lamar Jackson sideline, and underdog pick'em lobby at 23.0 fantasy points. Everybody else is at in the 20s or even below that. So he kind of stands out in the tier by himself. Second one is probably a little bit more surprising. Justin Fields. He's been very hit and miss throughout his entire career in fantasy. He's always been more of a quarterback one once he draws a start. And this one, they're actually projected for a bunch of points. Jets 13th in projected points, up at 22.5. The reason being, you get the Dallas Cowboys. So this is like an eruption spot if you're looking at EPA. The Cowboys have not been able to stop anybody. I think they got slow linebackers and bad safety play on top of that. So if Justin Fields does get to the second level, as he always does, he has the opportunity to take it to the house. There's a great matchup for Justin Fields. A bunch of scrambling production as usual. And the offensive line's kind of holding the line up front. Number 3, Patrick Mahomes. Look, this one's getting pretty easy. I know we had like a multi-year sample of Patrick Mahomes not being a stud fantasy quarterback. I think those days are now behind us. Couple reasons why. Patrick Mahomes right now is scrambling a lot more than he ever has. I think out of necessity, the team around him is just not quite as good. I think that he's getting a little bit frustrated, and I totally get that. The other big reasons, though, is Xavier Worthy's back in the lineup, Tyquan Thornton being available, Hollywood Brown being available. There's just so much more speed at wide receiver. Like, remember the days of Sammy Watkins, Justin Watson. There's probably some other guys I'm already forgetting too. DeAndre Hopkins. That was the outside wide receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster. Those were the guys that he was throwing the ball to. Like, how are you going to throw the ball downfield? Well, now you have a bunch of guys that run 4.2s, 4.3s, and all of a sudden they're taking more chances down the field. So more scrambles, more downfield shots. It's going to be a tough matchup. Jacksonville's been playing pretty good ball, a bunch of interceptions right now. Trayvon Walker, their number 2 edge rusher, he does not look like he's going to play. This chart right here is just showing you how teams attack each defense. And if you look at it, neutral pass rate allowed, Jacksonville's at the second highest. So offenses are choosing to pass the ball on Jacksonville, and right now they're not going to have their second edge rusher. So I think it's going to be a pretty exciting game on Monday Night Football. And I think that we need to adjust the new Patrick Mahomes projections, more rush attempts, more downfield shots, more fantasy points. Number 4 is Justin Herbert. He's up at 20.7 expected points according to the underdog pick'em lobby. Right now, by the way, we have like the best offer that I can remember. It's play 5, get $100. So that's if you're a brand new user. And on top of that, we got like Boosttober, which is like 30% off tokens. We have, like in the middle of the day on Sunday, witching hour. We have a bunch of stuff going on. There's more promos, more offers, team picks, everything on the Underdog app. It's like truly never been a better time to be on Underdog. And on top of that, it's also October. We got football, we got college football, we got basketball, we got baseball. It's all out there right now. So make sure you're on the app. But for Justin Herbert, at home against Washington might not have their nickel corner, Mike Sanders still. Their edge rushing group has been kind of hit and miss. They got the slowest linebacker in the NFL in Bobby Wagner, and they're going to pass the ball a ton. So am I nervous that he doesn't have Joe Alt? I am. But he's got 3 wide receivers, and they're by far the highest neutral pass rate team in the NFL. Herbert's playing really well, scrambling a little bit more this year on top of it. So he's just like a better version of like Baker Mayfield was doing this last season. He's just a better football player. So I think that we should expect him to be not an elite fantasy quarterback, but I think kind of flirting with those numbers. Historically, an elite fantasy quarterback is the next name in Jalen Hurts. It's the Broncos. At least it's at home, but the Broncos could apply a bunch of pressure. They have Nick Benito, who might be the defensive player of the year candidate through 4 weeks. And then they obviously got a bunch of secondary pieces. I've not loved the offense. I think they're having pass protection issues, both in just like calling out where the hot route's going to be, sliding protection, making sure everyone's picking up the right stunts. And then on top of that, just not as many runaway routes from AJ Brown, a lot more stop routes, and then an occasional go ball, but nothing like kind of slanting over the middle. Jalen Hurts hasn't been playing all that great on top of that. And now you get Pat Surtain and a bunch of really strong players in the back half. So I'm not expecting the typical Eagles performance. They are down at 24 projected points. That's the 9th most of the week. We're always going to get our Jalen Hurts tush push numbers as well. So he's a strong quarterback play. He is not the elite fantasy quarterback right now that he was drafted to be. So more of a 4 or 5 round value for now, but that's still enough to be my 5th quarterback. The breakout candidate of the year, Daniel Jones, and his big neck kind of tossing around our tier maker chart there. He stands out at number 6 right now. The Indianapolis Colts, they're 3rd in projected points, up at 27. That might be the highest that they'll be this entire year, but I totally get it. Like, the offense feels very functional. Offensive line stepping up. They got good skill players, and then the Raiders pass rush. It's Max Crosby, who's impossible to defend. Just go ask Caleb Williams. But also, the secondary is just beyond brutal. They're allowing a bunch of explosive plays. They don't have like a press man corner that they can go to, and there's kind of like zone coverage busts have been like pretty glaring for the first couple weeks. So not surprised to see Daniel Jones's team 3rd in projected points. So I have a very aggressive ranking on him. Next up is Kyler Murray. Cardinals are 8th in projected points this week against the Tennessee Titans, up at 24.5. Kyler's not running as much as he did in his absolute prime, but I do wonder if we're going to see better fantasy numbers from Kyler Murray for the rest of the season for a couple of reasons. Number one, no James Conner, like no even Trey Benson. So I think that the ground game is going to be pretty bad. I think they're missing their run game coordinator and offensive line coach from this past season. They're just like not running the ball as effectively this year, either way. And then also their defense is dealing with a bunch of injuries right now. So maybe that's not going to matter against the Tennessee Titans, who just can't move the ball at all. But I do think that Kyler Murray is going to probably have to be asked to get into the drop back game more often and maybe even use his legs as a scrambler, even if we're not going to get the crazy rushing numbers that we once did. But 19.1 points in the pick'em lobby over on Underdog. Feel good about him as a quarterback 1. Next up is Jayden Daniels. And you know what, Producer Weaves, let's just move him up right in front of Daniel Jones. The reports are for Washington just a bunch. Injury reports crazy. Jayden Daniels is practicing in full. And I think that he probably could have played last week if they didn't feel so comfortable with Marcus Mariota. So the word on the street is that he's like actually 100%, which is good because you just never know about players coming off leg injuries that are as athletic as he is. But it sounds like he's going to be himself. He's not going to have Terry McLaurin. He's not going to have even Noah Brown. I think that Deebo Samuel is going to play here, but it's not an easy matchup. Chargers secondary is really good. They got really fast linebackers and safety play, probably 2 all-pro candidates up the middle. So by no means an easy matchup for Daniel Jones. Still projected for 20 points in the pick'em lobby. And I think as a rusher and downfield threat, he gets it done. Next up, Drake May, quarterback 9. Patriots are 15th in projected points, 21.5. Nothing special. They're playing in Buffalo, and I'm kind of curious to see how the game script's gonna kind of unfold here. Patriots have been either like blowing teams out or playing things pretty close. I have not seen them like down by a bunch of points for most of the season. We're going to see what that's going to look like in this one. Drake May has not ran as much as I thought he was going to, but that's because they've been, like playing like success rate football, very balanced football. And when they're trailing, as they should be against the Bills, I think that he is capable as a scrambler, maybe get some quarterback design runs here. And on top of that, I think that what Steph Diggs is going to provide for this offense is pretty big. A couple weeks ago, I showed a chart where there were just like no downfield pass attempts, like just period, like nothing beyond 25 yards. This last week, Steph Diggs had a couple man coverage wins down the field, which I think is pretty promising, played 90% of the snaps. So I think there's mismatches to be had if this Patriots pass game offense is as good as it's been the first 4 weeks. And Drake May looks good. I think the offense looks pretty good. The offensive line looks a little bit better than I even thought it was going to be. But I do think that there's opportunities in the secondary, just not a lot of depth. And I think safety play, linebacker play has been an issue for the Buffalo Bills. Number 10, Jared Goff. They're projected for 30 points. They're playing the Bengals. Like, will he have 3 passing scores or it's going to be all the running backs? I don't know, but on average, Jared Goff's been a top 10 quarterback for the last couple seasons when they've been, posting 30 plus points for a lot of those games. That's expected in this one. So we're just kind of rolling the dice on where the touchdowns go. Is it Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, or is this the week where JMO, Sam LaPorta, Monra catch a bunch of scores? I know there will be yards. I know that they'll be in the end zone a ton here. It just comes down to the touchdowns, but that's a pretty fun game to play against the Bengals. Still no Shamar Stewart for Cincinnati. Number 11, Dak Prescott catches the New York Jets. They're still 6 in projected points, up at 25. I did want to note one thing that Dak Prescott is overcoming. Obviously, no CeeDee Lamb. His center's on injured reserve. His right guard, a first rounder, Tyler Booker, he hasn't practiced. He didn't play this last week. Their left tackle, Tyler Guyton, he was a fringe first rounder, maybe I think even a first rounder a couple seasons ago. He's in concussion protocol. He's probably not going to play. And then even their left guard, one of the better left guards in the entire game, he had to go get an MRI. He has knee tendonitis. It sounds like he's going to play, but he didn't practice early in the week. When you have to get an MRI, you're playing through something. That's 4 starters. That's 80% of the offensive line dealing with something or completely ruled out. The good news, the Jets are down an edge rusher, a good one at that, and then also their linebacker, Quincy Williams. So it's kind of eye for an eye situation. Dak Prescott's been playing out of his freaking mind. He's actually extending some plays and throwing on the run, which is very refreshing. I think this offense is actually very well coached on top of it. So you could definitely do worse if you have Dak Prescott as a quarterback one. Next up, I had Matthew Stafford who played, and now it's Baker Mayfield, gotcha weaves. This is basically like all the same exact tier. Baker Mayfield just does it in a different way than the last couple of quarterbacks. He's going to have to run. The team total is down at 20.5 points. The other last 2 quarterbacks, like 30 points, 25 points. Baker Mayfield just runs a lot more than Goff and Dak Prescott does, and that's going to be the big difference here. So tons of injury notes to hit on for Baker Mayfield. No right guard, no right tackle, but he did get Tristan Wirfs back, got Chris Godwin back, still no Mike Evans. So they're getting a little bit better on offense. And then Seattle, I would say playing in Seattle is probably the most difficult matchup in the NFL. This week, though, Seattle is missing their corner or their slot corner, their free safety, and an edge rusher. So they're at least catching them at like a fine enough time. I get nervous when Baker gets under pressure, like things like could kind of unravel. And I do think the odds of that happening this week are a little bit higher than normal, but he's been a top 10 quarterback more times than not for the last year or so. So I'm going to keep him right there on the border. Sam Darnold up next, USC legend, playing really good football. I would say he's like top 8 quarterback on tape. And then the numbers, EPA numbers are off the charts right now. Very functional offense. Offensive line has some issues, especially right guard, but everywhere else has been pretty solid. Throwing the ball downfield, throwing with confidence. He has great arm strength. He's like actually making plays out of structure, dodging some sacks too. So I don't know, man. He looks really dang good. Tampa Bay, they're dealing with a bunch of injuries on defense as well. So Vita Vea, that's going to be a problem on the interior. Do not know what the Seahawks solution is for that. Beyond that, though, Tampa Bay in the secondary have some guys that are going to be out. Linebacker play has been a little bit hit and miss. So look for the play action attempts. See if we can get Kenneth Walker out in space. I think that's going to be kind of the area that I'm going to be looking for is like yards after the catch, get Kenneth Walker out in the flats, see what happens, some angle routes, some screen routes, and like really get reduce what Vita Vea is bringing to the table and put the pressure on everybody else. So at home, they're 9th in projected points. I like Sam Darnold a lot. Bryce Young, I can't say I like him a lot. Seems like a nice enough guy. But boy, with Josh not here, hopefully he doesn't listen. He looks like shit. Let's just be honest here. He's not playing on rhythm. They have not used him in the quarterback design game a single time this year. So if you're bad at quarterbacking and you're not being used in the quarterback design game, what is there to like? Well, for me, it's the matchup. So the Panthers this week, it'll probably be a good week for Bryce Young. You face the Dolphins at home. The Dolphins defense is terrible. We know that. And Bryce Young at least gets Xavier Legette back, if that's, I guess, a compliment or a positive for him. They just don't have somebody that can defend Tedero and McMillan, and hopefully Bryce Young can scramble around a little bit more. They've been passing the ball in neutral situations a little bit more than they have in previous seasons, I think. No Chuba Hubbard, no right guard, no center is probably the reason for that, but also just having Tedero and McMillan. So hopefully some more of like normal game script passing numbers from Bryce Young. But man, if he doesn't do it here, I'm going to ask Josh some questions like what the hell we're even doing in Carolina. My guy, not Josh's guy, is Jaxson Dart. And we've put him up a tier, damn it. This guy is running like a damn madman. So with, I posted this quarterback rushing attempts just by design. So scramble yards are one thing, quarterback design yards and rush attempts are another thing. Jaxson Dart last week had just about as many quarterback design carries as 80% of the starting quarterbacks have the entire season. Probably after this week, he's probably going to be only like trailing like a couple quarterbacks in the entire league in quarterback design stuff. And I get it. Jaxson Dart looks really explosive. He's a savage. He's wanting to truck stick everybody. It's a good spot to do that. The game should be pretty close. I think they'll try to lean on him doing that. The Saints right now don't have Chase Young, their top edge rusher. They just ruled out a corner on top of that. So it's a great matchup for Jaxson Dart. We have not seen anything in the normal drop back game. We did see some nice moments in the preseason, but expect a lot of quarterback rushing from Jaxson Dart. I think more RPO throws, and then hopefully with another game under his belt, the normal drop back game will feel a little bit better. And then also just in general, the Chargers defense much better than the Saints. So even if Jaxson Dart's like not good at football, he's going to be fantasy relevant, and we'll see if he's good at football. I feel like we might be seeing some things in the next couple weeks. Maybe his like doppelganger is Bo Nix, who at times looks good in the right structure and also a sneaky athlete. This is just a tough spot for Bo Nix going into Philadelphia. So a lot different than hosting on Monday night versus going into Philadelphia. Last week, 5th highest team total of the week. This week, they're down at the 5th fewest, under 20 fantasy points. So the Eagles defense is not nearly as good as it was the previous season. They just don't have the like edge rushers healthy, and a lot of them have left. But they're still really good up the spine, and both their cornerbacks are standing out. So like Quinyon Mitchell defending Cortland Sutton, I think takes out like a large portion of the like explosives from this offense. So you're gonna have to like dink and dunk and then like break some tackles against their like really, really strong slot corner linebacker duo. So I'm kind of nervous for Bo Nix. He usually scrambles enough. They usually have a couple shot plays to make up the difference, but the standard drop back game for Bo Nix has not really stood out to me, except when he's like throwing like big dig routes, post routes, first read targets to Cortland Sutton, where he's got enough arm talent to fit it in there, but tougher task against Quinyon Mitchell. Up next, Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback. I believe this is 18 or so for us. Dolphins are projected for a bunch of points in this one. You get the Carolina Panthers on the road. You're projected for 23. That's about normal for where they've been the last couple of seasons. I know it's been a roller coaster. No Tyreek Hill. The Panthers defense up the middle is just not very good. Josh noted this, that they just cut their starting linebacker, who's like not supposed to be a starter this offseason because he's been really bad. Pass rush has been kind of mediocre, so they're obviously gonna have to scheme around their own offensive line, but this is a spot where I'm not too terrified about the Carolina Panthers defense. I think this game should be fairly close. Not a whole lot of defensive talent in general here, so hopefully big Jalen Waddle numbers are coming. I had a very aggressive ranking with him on our wide receiver show. Obviously, Devon Achian's free stuff for Tua, who just threw the football last week, which was refreshing. He kept turning down throws the weeks before that, but hopefully a little bit more motivated to push the ball downfield. CJ Stroud is up next. Texans are 18th in projected points. I got Stroud pretty much at quarterback 18. Ravens on paper might seem like a difficult matchup, or at least like you would think that they would be a difficult matchup. They've been getting absolutely shredded this season. Tons of explosives. And then right now, Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton, Nate Wiggins are all on the injury report. Roquan Smith is on the injury report. Their linebacker. They have both defensive tackles are on injured reserve. I believe Kyle Van Noy is going to be coming back for this one, but about half their defense and probably like all of their good defensive players are injured right now. So Stroud's game last week was better than what it was the couple weeks before that. So hopefully you get some momentum here. So in Baltimore, adds a couple rushing points, but nothing too crazy there. So we're just kind of reliant on the explosive pass to Nico Collins, but I kind of like that. Trevor Lawrence, Monday Night Football. It should be a good game just in general. Really excited for this one. Jacksonville is projected for the 14th most points. I think Trevor's just not been very good. I'm going to come out and say it. I think that his accuracy is piss poor. He doesn't really like throw beyond the first read very often. Like he has a couple like wow moments where like he does have a really strong arm and he's like pretty dang aggressive. So like when both those things hit, you can see some like really nice like corner routes in the red area. And then he also has some turnover plays. And I don't know, man, Kansas City defense has been kind of hit and miss. They don't have like as many horses as they have previously, but Spags is as good as it gets. You get an extra day to prepare for Jacksonville. And this offense for Jacksonville is like still cannot just like line up and get a freaking playoff. So they're fine. I'm excited to watch them. I think they're going to grow as the season progresses, but against the Chiefs, not feeling too confident with Jacksonville this week. Geno Smith, we're getting to the tier quarterbacks where like we're just praying. So no Colton Miller, their left tackle. Mentioned this, I believe, on Stats versus Film and the running back ranking show. A lot of the explosive runs that Genty's had have been like literally right behind Colton Miller in a variety of different ways. He's their best offensive lineman. You remove him, the other 4 linemen were already bad. You remove the left tackle as well. This, I think, will be the worst offensive line. I mean, we got some other candidates. The Bengals are down there. The Titans are definitely down there. The Browns are definitely down there. But the Raiders' offensive line right now is going to be really bad. And Geno is super aggressive. He's usually pretty accurate. This year, his accuracy has not been the same, and his aggressiveness has just kind of bit him a couple times. Brock Bowers also just before going live here, he went DNP again on Friday. So who knows? If they don't have him, I might have to move him down a spot or two. So Indianapolis, their defense is not all that great. They can rush the passer a little bit. They got a decent defensive line. It makes me a little nervous. Their secondary, though, guys are just retiring in the middle of the season. So that's never a good sign. I had Mac Daddy over here, and then we're going down to Spencer Rattler. He's been competing, and this is a week where I actually think that just being semi-watchable and playing with all that pace, I think this is going to be the week where we're like actually going to get real fantasy points, like not just like spreadsheet fantasy points, like actual refresh your box score, refresh the underdog app, and there's actual fantasy points. That's what I think is going to happen against the Giants. Their secondary has just been pretty bad. Their linebacker group has been pretty bad. They definitely have a great defensive line. They're going to get the ball out quickly. That's what they've been doing. Lots of little quick outs, keep the ball moving. Spencer Rattler can move a little bit here, so we'll see if he gets outside the pocket. But really, I just think there's going to be enough pass attempts, quick, cheap yards, and keep this thing moving. And we see the Saints are actually 15th in projected points right now. So this is like one of the weeks, or if you're in a super flex league and you got Spencer Rattler, I would feel pretty good about that, because the next about 6 or 7 names, man, like I think that we should get some questions about them or straight up running backs in your super flex spots, like getting that bad. Jake Browning, that bad. So, I mean, all of these guys, throw them up there. You got Carson Wentz, Cam Ward, Cooper Rush, Dylan Gabriel. So I think Browning and Wentz have a chance just because you got Jamar Chase, you have Justin Jefferson. With Jake Browning, they can't block, and the Lions pass rush is really good. The secondary is not as hot. They just ruled out DJ Reed, put him on injured reserve. That's their top corner. And they play a lot of man coverage. So when you're looking at backup corners against Jamar Chase and man coverage, you got a chance this week to actually have some yards after the catch, some downfield shots, if they can block it up. With Carson Wentz, you're dealing with a third string center, and that third string center didn't even play center in college, let alone in the NFL. Has never started at center, so that's new. Their left guard, who was a first rounder, he's out in Donovan Jackson. Their right tackle, Brian O'Neill, one of the better right tackles in the league, he's out. And you get freaking Myles Garrett in this one. So we'll see with Carson Wentz. Not feeling too great about it. Cam Ward, Cooper Rush, Dylan Gabriel. If you go over to the Underdog Pick'em lobby, promo code the show, you will notice they're projected for 11.4, 11, and 11.9 fantasy points. So on our live stream on Sunday, if you ask me Cooper Rush or a legit running back, I might straight up say it might be Travis Etienne over Cooper Rush, even in a super flex league. That's where we're at with these 3 offenses. So, this is a week where we're really, in that super flex hell. I'm in a league where I started out with Lamar Jackson, and then at the, I think the 4-5 turn or the 2-3 turn, I had like George Kittle and Brock Purdy. Things are great. So Cooper Rush, Dylan Gabriel, it's better than not having a quarterback, but these guys are by no means a must start. All right. How about the tight ends? Pretty simple. If you got Trey McBride, you are the only team with an elite tight end. He's at 63.5 receiving yards. There's a lot of opportunity for touchdowns in this one. They're projected for 25 points against the Tennessee Titans. Really like this spot. The last 2 games without James Conner, 14.8, 13.9 expected points. Trey McBride, an actual elite fantasy tight end. Even bigger days are coming for him. Everybody else is cosplaying as a fantasy elite tight end. I actually have Tyler Warren now at second highest just because Alec Pierce is not going to play. Michael Pittman's going to play, but he popped up with a hamstring injury. You just never freaking know. So Tyler Warren, very consistent player for this offense. Last week, had a season high with 14.1 expected half PPR points. He gets screens. He got goal line opportunities as a fullback as well. So he's the tight end 3 in usage this year. He's a good player. The Raiders stink. Colts projected for 27 points. Great spot. Jake Ferguson, the Ferg daddy himself. He's the tight end 1 in expected points this year. Last week I mentioned on stats versus film. Those are on Tuesday. We go over every single team after watching the stuff, bring some film notes, some expected points notes. When I was watching Jake Ferguson, when they got to the red area, he was in a 3-point stance. Dak Prescott motioned him out, got him lined up against a corner, ran a slot, crossed his face, touchdown. That was all by design. So they're getting Jake Ferguson some design touches down there. Whenever they're trailing, he's just going to get peppered with underneath stuff, sits in zone, tough player. Last 2 games without CeeDee Lamb, 17.8 points, 9.6 expected points. So good spot. Jets linebacker, he's on injured reserve. If Sauce Gardner is just shadowing George Pickens, if they're rolling safeties over the top of George Pickens, which is what I would do if I was the Jets, then Jake Ferguson's going to have really clean matchups. Good player. Brock Bowers, we can leave him there. Who knows? He has not practiced in a while, and he's not the same player. So even if he does go out there, he's not an elite tight end for now. So we'll see. Travis Kelce, look, I know it's not been good. 16% target shares hasn't been that low in a long time. He's only the tight end 16 in usage. I will say the Chiefs just popped on tape last week. And obviously you guys watched that Ravens game. There was just offensive explosiveness that you have not felt in a long time. The team total is actually at a good spot at 25 points. Jacksonville, they got a decent cornerback group. Devin Lloyd's been playing good linebacker, but I do think there's a chance for Travis Kelce to be kind of the soft spot over the middle. So this is more just optimism on Travis Kelce and the Chiefs offense in general looking explosive. And then aside from those drops, whenever he's had to win either in man coverage or run after the catch, I actually think he looks kind of fast. On the Travis Kelce scale, we obviously have the Taylor Swift album drop bump as well. So I'm expecting good things from Travis Kelce in the Taylor Swift marketing campaign. Hunter Henry, look, they're going to be probably chasing points to Buffalo. He's been very involved in the offense, had the yards after the catch touchdown even this last week. You got to play him. Zach Ertz is in a great spot. No Terry McLaurin. You get Jayden Daniels back, even no Noah Brown. He's in a good spot. He's had 8.9 expected points in the starts with Jayden Daniels. They'll definitely need him this week. Sam LaPorta, there's projected for 30 points. Enough said. Very boom bust. But you got a chance to score a touchdown when your team's projected for 30 points. Darren Waller, maybe I'm on a ledge here. I don't know. Josh usually comes with the consensus rankings. I just liked what I saw from Darren Waller. He was maybe in line with his hand in the dirt a couple times. He basically was a slot wide receiver for this team. And without Tyreek Hill, they're looking for somebody to step up. Mike McDaniel on the mic went up and said that they're looking for everybody, not just the receiver group, to kind of replace Tyreek Hill. I think that pretty much means Darren Waller. So obviously everybody saw the 2 touchdowns were both very good reps for Darren Waller, showed some runaway speed, some, just explosiveness in the jumps. But even before that, they had a 3rd and 5 where he was the cheat motion guy into man coverage, cross the face, crossing route, first down on a 3rd and 5. That was one of the first plays of the game, even with Tyreek Hill in the lineup. So I think he's in a good spot. Panthers defense, not good. I think that we're going to scale up Darren Waller's routes and whatnot. Dallas Goedert, same old stuff, needs a touchdown most likely. This is a game, though, where the Broncos play a lot of man coverage. We got an air show, Huntington Beach air show out my window right now. So if you guys hear some some jets and whatnot, that's the Huntington Beach air show in the background. But with Dallas Goedert, the Broncos play a lot of man coverage. You got Pat Surtain on AJ Brown. You got Riley Moss and the boys on Devontae Smith. I do think there's a chance where they go to Dallas Goedert underneath, get the ball out quickly if they don't trust their offensive line against those guys. So I think it's a decent spot for Goedert. Juwan Johnson on the injury report. So is Taysom Hill. He's actually questionable to play. So I would sell Juwan Johnson if you can. But the Saints are just projected for a lot more points. I think we get one more decent week out of Juwan. Dalton Kincaid, same old, not very involved, 65% routes, but he's on a good team. Brenton Strange, I think that you can do worse. Tight end 15 on tight end 15 usage. It's a game where they're expected to be trailing against the Chiefs like that. Mason Taylor stood out. He's a second round rookie. His usage has gone up 4 consecutive weeks. That meant last week, season high, 7.8 expected half PPR points. He had 8 targets. I thought on tape at LSU, he looked pretty fluid after the catch. Not like super explosive, but just like catch the ball consistently, get upfield quickly. I do like that. The Jets projected for a lot more points than they typically are. Go look up some Cowboys linebacker clips if you can. Not great. Harold Fannin, Tommy Tremble, TJ Hockenson. I think this is where it's like we're getting pretty desperate here. Tremble had a really good game without Jatavian Sanders. Like maybe he's the name to highlight. And then maybe people are a little surprised Hawkinson's this low. This year, he's at 14.5 targets per route. That's just not good enough, against this defense. Rookie Carson Schwarzenegger, a freaking Bruin. He's going to be seeing TJ Hockenson. I don't know, man. I think Myles Garrett's going to make his defensive player of the year case look pretty obvious. And the rest of these guys don't really care. So I got tight end 25 listed on Underdog Network if you want more tight end notes and whatnot. Quickly, you can just flash this in post, Weaves. Did want to hit on the defenses chart, the names to kind of highlight. The Cardinals are kind of a surprise team because you get the Titans at home, like them. Both of both defenses on the Sunday morning game, Vikings and Browns, I'm expecting a bunch of sacks and bullshit over there. So like both of them. The Texans are obviously great against Cooper Rush. I think that the Lions are in a great spot against Jake Browning. So those 5 really stand out. I guess the sneaky ones, the Saints against Jaxson Dart, there should be some turnovers and whatever with a rookie. Buffalo against Drake May in that offensive line. You never know there. And then the Raiders, if Brock Bowers can't play, no Colton Miller, that makes the Colts defense look pretty good. So I use projected sack rate, use implied team total. Those are the 2 metrics that I look at for defenses. So that's on Underdog Network every single week. I will have injury notes, maybe some more matchup notes by the time we kick off on Sunday morning on our live stream. So hopefully Josh is ready for that one. Hopefully he's done hawk and loogies in front of the camera. And we will be back Sunday. Make sure to go watch all our previous episodes. Use promo code the show Underdog. I mean, truly, one of the best offers I can remember. Play 5, get 100. We have Boosttober. We got freaking Witching Hour. It's all about Halloween over on Underdog. Good news for you guys. So with that, fight on. See you guys Sunday.